Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is another installment of reading you an excerpt of my favorite book to convince you to read it. And today I'm going to be reading you the first chapter of Seeing Beauty by Eliza Prokopovits. I think that's how you pronounce it. I've had issues trying to pronounce that name and yeah. So anyway, so this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. It's really short, small. It's about 150 pages, but it is such a good story. And I also have an unboxing video for this book. So if you want to watch that, I'm going to link it down below in the description. It came with a lot of fun stuff. This book is actually kind of different than Eliza's other books because she only did like a limited print run of this. So unfortunately, I don't think you can get this unless someone for some reason is maybe selling their copy secondhand. I don't know. But if I, so the thing was, is like if I pre-ordered the paperback copy, I could get one of the limited print runs because she did a kind of unique thing where she wrote the book and she decided she was going to have it for free in its ebook format as just like a free book. But she did want to do a run of the paperback. So obviously I pre-ordered it. I paid the money for that because I wanted a copy of it. And also it came with fun goodies. It came with like a bookmark. And then if you watch the unboxing, you'll see that it came with some stickers and like cute stuff as well. She also sent me like a really sweet thank you card. But yeah, this is really sweet. She actually has like a whole other series that's Regency romances. And I have a few of them on Kindle. And I think, so I've only read 2 of her books at this point. So this is the first one I read. Really good. This isn't a part of a series or anything. At least I don't think it is. And the other retelling that I read from her was, and she did another Beauty and the Beast retelling that's kind of older than this one. That's called The Beast's Magician. And that one was so good. Like, I'm going to have to purchase that on paperback at some point because I have it on Kindle. Oh my gosh, it's so good and so cozy. This one is so sweet and cozy. And yeah. Oh, sorry, my nose is itchy. But anyway, yeah, she's a really great author. She writes clean, sweet romances. Yeah, anyway, love her. So anyway, I'm going to read you chapter 1 of this book. And the good news is obviously you can read it for free. You can like download it for free, and also, at least I believe you can. So I'll have the links to like her Instagram and her website and like where you can download this to read. But yeah, so first I'm going to read you the little blurb on the back, and then we're going to get into chapter 1. So, oh, my nose. All right, so here's the blurb. Every year, a girl is chosen from somewhere in the kingdom. No one knows where she is taken. When she returns a year later, she is unharmed, but she is different, changed, skittish, quiet. And this year, I am the chosen. Ooh. So yeah, she had released like the first few chapters on her website to read for free. And I had read the first, I think like 3 chapters, and I was like, yes, 100%. And so that's why I pre-ordered it. I took the chance on it. I knew it was a clean book, so I knew I wasn't like completely wasting my money or anything. So I was like, yes. And it's one of my favorites. And also it's really sweet because she signed it for me. Oh yes, I'm going to read you the dedication of the book first because it's actually kind of funny and also really sweet. She dedicates it to my younger self. You swore you would never write a retelling of Beauty and the Beast because you were afraid you couldn't do it justice. You have now written 2. And to everyone like me, don't limit yourself. You've got this. And I underlined that because I was like, it really resonated with me. All right, here we go. Chapter 1. The first dream came the day my name was chosen. I don't even know yet that they'd submitted my name. They don't tell you unless you're selected. I woke that morning sweating and disoriented. Sunlight already streamed through the faded yellow curtains. I'd overslept. Both of my sisters had already risen, leaving the rest of the bed empty. The memory of what day it was crashed over me. I tumbled out of bed, washed my face in the basin, and threw on the dress I'd laid over the chair last night. I grabbed my boots and half fell down the ladder to the kitchen. "Why didn't you wake me?" I hissed at Grace as I crashed onto the bench beside the big wooden table and hurriedly began lacing on my boots. My older sister paused as she carried her porridge bowl to the wash basin. "I tried," she said. "You wouldn't wake. I figured I'd give you a few minutes." "But on choosing day?" "Beauty," Joy said from across the table, nearly done with her own porridge. "Go easy on her. She's nervous too." I bit my lip and redid the laces on my second boot. I took a deep breath. "You're right," I said. "I'm sorry." I pulled my own bowl of porridge toward me and wolfed it down. It was lukewarm and bland, but I barely tasted it. Grace came over with a comb while I ate. She buttoned the few buttons on the back of my dress that I couldn't reach and braided my hair, expertly tying it with the blue ribbon that matched the dress I'd chosen. Joy took my empty bowl and her own to the sink. Mama wiped her hands on her apron and looked us over. "You look lovely," she said. She gave me a gentle smile. "No one would ever know that you'd overslept." Grace nudged me with her elbow, and Joy gave me a sidelong grin. I narrowed my eyes at them. Mama planted a kiss on each of our heads. "Have a good day now. I'll see you at the choosing." We bundled up in our coats and scarves to go to school. Papa was already at work in the shop that occupied the front room of our house, so we opened the door to the shop on our way out to say goodbye. There were no customers yet. Papa liked to spend the early hours sewing quietly on standing orders before he opened. He looked up and smiled crookedly at us, a pen pinched between his lips. We separated in the street outside. Joy walked the block to the lower school alone, while Grace and I made our way across town to the upper school. Joy would be with us in the upper school next year. We would have 1 year all together before Grace and I graduated and joined Mama and Papa in the shop. Grace and I huddled together against the wind. No snow had fallen yet, but the air was bitter. For some reason, the chill reminded me of my dream. For all that it was so opposite. I let my mind wander back, surprised at how vivid the details still were. I had been in a cornfield. The ears were small and the stalks were dry. I knew next to nothing about farming, but I could tell there hadn't been enough rain. The sound of a strong wind rose, though the stalks around me didn't bend and rustle in it. I didn't pay attention to it as I reached out, frowning to touch the nearest stalk. The sound grew and grew until it was a constant thunder. That's when I smelled the smoke. "It's spreading," a voice said by my side. I turned to look for the voice. A man stood by me, tall, handsome, dark-haired, and dressed in out-of-date but expensive clothing, like someone out of a portrait. He was looking in the direction the sound was coming from, but when he felt me looking, he turned to me. His eyes were dark and worried. "Half of the Midland fields are up in flames," he said. "Will you help me stop it?" I looked helplessly around. There was no water nearby, not a stream or a well or even a bucket. "How?" I asked, but he said nothing, just turned back to the raging fire sweeping across the field. I could see the red glow now. The roar was louder than ever. It had consumed nearly the whole field in less than a minute, the dry stalks feeding the hungry flames. It was going to consume us, too, if we didn't run, but my feet were rooted to the soil. I sought again for water and came up with nothing. I could feel the heat beating against me. We would be swallowed up in a second. And then I had awoken. I shivered now, remembering at the terror and the helplessness. "Beauty, are you all right?" "Fine," I said shortly. I wasn't going to tell her about the dream. Not today. We hurried on silently. A handful of other girls trickled into the large, whitewashed building as we approached. Most of the students boarded. I heaved the front door open and held it for Grace, then slipped in behind her as the wind slammed it shut. It wasn't warm in the entrance hall, but it was a relief to be out of the wind. I shivered as I took my coat off and hung it up on the hooks that lined the walls. I wished I could have kept it on, but the mistresses would never have allowed that. Grace gave me a quick hug and hurried off to her first lesson. I had embroidery first, the easiest lesson in the world thanks to having a tailor and a seamstress for parents, followed by history. On a normal day, I'd have music after, but everyone got out early on choosing day. I loved music, and I'd been excited when I got to the upper school to have a music lesson twice a week, but our lessons focused primarily on singing, because most instruments weren't respectable for girls, unless it was the piano, but you had to pay for extra lessons to learn that. We did learn the flute, which was better than nothing. The notes were like light, happy birds that drifted on a warm breeze, but I couldn't help thinking wistfully of the music that waited beyond my reach. I arrived at my first lesson in plenty of time, found the sampler I'd started yesterday on the shelf, and worked through the class in silence. The history classroom was down a short hall, and the whole class filed along together, whispers multiplying as we did, only tapering off once we'd settled into our seats. The history mistress glared us into silence before launching into a lecture about kings and stewards and the difference between them. I couldn't focus, seeing again the face of the man from my dream, smelling the smoke, hearing the roar of approaching flames. I blinked and came back to myself, heart racing. The history mistress droned on, and I let my mind wander again. We'd been taught the same thing every year at school, and it all boiled down to this. Once we had kings, and now we had stewards, and no one knew why. No one even knew exactly when the switch happened. It was all shrouded in magic and mystery. Granny Nalina, one of Papa's longtime customers, once said that her grandmother had seen the king as he rode through their town, but she'd admitted uncertainly over how trustworthy her grandmother's memory was, particularly as the matriarch had declared that the king had simply disappeared soon afterwards. Either way, the line of kings had stopped, and the stewards, though ruling in nearly the same capacity, were officially guiding the country until the kings should return. As far as I could tell, no one actually believed the kings would return, or maybe it was just that high politics had such little impact on day-to-day life that no one really thought about it. None of us would ever meet a king or a steward. The closest I was likely to come to either was the portrait of our current graying-haired steward with icy blue eyes that hung in the school assembly hall. Our class filed out at the end of the lesson, joining the other classes in the hall and streaming out of the building to gather in the large square before the school. My classmates' whispers had taken on a new quality, excited and anxious. Parents hovered around the edges of the square. The boys' upper school had let out early too, and some of the boys now crept into the crowd of girls to take their places beside sweethearts. I found Grace suddenly beside me and clutched at her hand. Mistress Stonebridge, our head mistress, took her place at the front door of the school. Each town was required by the steward to submit the names of 5 upper school girls over the age of 18 to be considered every year. As there was only one girls' upper school in our town, Mistress Stonebridge both submitted the names and announced the steward's choice. "It is my privilege," she began, her voice carrying over the quickly stifled murmurings of the gathered crowd, "to begin the annual announcement." My ears were going funny. I heard her first words clearly and then somehow missed the next several sentences. I couldn't focus any better than I had in history. This was Grace's in my first year being eligible to be chosen. She was older than me by 9 months, but for the winter we were the same age, both 18. Each year the choosing was the same. 5 names submitted, 1 name announced. 1 girl from the whole kingdom to win the honor of something. No one knew exactly what she was chosen to do. We had a neighbor when I was young, Henny, who had been in the upper school. Her name had been chosen, and we didn't see her again for a year, until after the next name was chosen. When she did come back to play with us, she was very vague about where she'd been and what had happened to her. Not because she was hiding something, but because her memory of it was blurry, almost entirely washed away. She was quieter when she came home, and she startled easily. She was not the first person from our town to have been chosen. Ever since Hanny, it had been a girl from somewhere else. But Hanny was the third of 3 daughters. Both of her older sisters had been chosen too. I shivered, imagining Hanny waiting in the crowd of schoolmates just like we were now, excited, terrified. Where had they taken her? The girls were not harmed, or so they claimed afterwards. That was the only thing Hanny had remembered clear on. But the mystery of it made it frightening. The headmistress spoke of honor and history, and I heard 1 word in 10. Grace's fingers were tight around mine. The last sentence I heard clearly. "This year I have the extra privilege," Mistress Stonebridge concluded, "to announce a name that we all know, because the honored chosen is one of our own." My breath caught in my lungs. "The daughter of William Taylor." Time froze. Grace's hand and mine clenched so tightly on each other's we'd have bruises. One of us. My eyes found my sister's face. She was whiter than the snow that had finally started to fall. Please, not Grace. To see her come back quiet and skittish like Henny. No. "Honora." A cheer rose from the crowd. Grace and I remained frozen, silent. I barely registered my proper name. I was shivering uncontrollably. The crowd dispersed, girls beginning to chatter and laugh. I heard none of it. A few of my classmates hugged me on their way by or patted my shoulder. Grace stayed by me, her hand still gripping mine. Mama and Papa pushed their way through the crowd towards us. Mama was crying and trying bravely to smile. Papa's smile was strained but proud. "That's my beauty," he murmured, putting his arms around Grace and me. Mistress Stonebridge approached. Her expression surprised me. I had expected more pride for the upper school and the town and less sympathy. "The carriage will come for you in 2 days," she said. "Elena, you are also excused from classes until then." Grace nodded once. I don't remember the walk home. When I started paying attention again, my sisters and I were sitting on our bed, as we had so many times before. Grace was still holding my hand, but gently now. Joy was home. Had we stopped at the lower school on the way? There were tear stains on her cheeks, and her eyes looked very wet. We didn't talk at first, just sat together. What was there to say? I was being taken from my family for an entire year. Joy would be in the upper school when I came home. Grace, and I guess I, too, would be nearing graduation. Grace and I had never been apart for my entire life. I was relieved, at least, that Grace hadn't been chosen. I couldn't have borne a year without her, not if I didn't know where she was or what was happening to her. No amount of honor could make up for that. If it had if it had to be one of us, let it be me. Joy wasn't old enough yet, thankfully. I couldn't have stood her going either. I lay awake in bed that night. I kept remembering Hanny's face. She'd gotten married and moved away several years ago, but her parents still lived next door. All 3 sisters taken. There was a year or 2 in between where someone else from another school was chosen, but somehow fate played that family a rough hand. I could feel my sisters on either side of me in the dark. Faintest moonlight fell through our window. If I squinted, I could just make out Joy's face. She looked so much younger when she slept. Grace's face was turned away. Grace still had 1 year at upper school, 1 year when the headmistress could submit her name, and Joy would be eligible soon too. Would fate be kinder to us than to Hanny's family? I felt the effects of my sleepiness the next morning. I was slow getting dressed and coming down to breakfast. My father, usually sewing in the shop by now, was still sitting at the table. My mother set bowls of porridge in front of us without looking at me. Her eyes were red. "Beauty," Papa said when he'd finished eating. He hesitated as if he wanted to say more, but what he'd thought to say wasn't good enough. I gave him a weak smile, and he reached over the table to pat my hand. Then he got up and put his bowl in the wash basin and picked up his sewing box. He kissed the top of my head and disappeared into the shop. Mama followed soon after, still unable to look at me. We girls finished our breakfast and began washing up. Normally on days off, Grace would have gone to the shop afterward to help, but instead she came back up to her room with me. Joy followed. "Beauty," Joy began, just as Papa had. She hesitated too, then pulled her favorite green hair ribbon out of her pocket. "I want you to have something to remember me." "Joy," I said. Her nickname choked me. Where was the joy in this? I looked at the ribbon in her hand, unable to meet her eyes. "Me too," Grace said. The ribbon she held out was pink. "I couldn't," I said. "Please," Grace said. "We want to be with you somehow." I sighed. "You'll always be with me, you know that." "Still." Grace took the ribbon from Joy and carried them both to the jewelry box. There were only 3 precious things in that box, 3 gifts from the fairy who had blessed us at birth. Grace's lily, my rose, Joy's daffodil, each formed perfectly of gold, reminders of the blessings we were nicknamed for. Grace took the blue ribbon that I'd been wearing yesterday and braided it with the others, then strung them through the hole in the rose. Without a word, she brought it over and tied it around my neck. My hand went to it automatically, my eyes welling. "It's only a year," Joy ventured. "That's not so bad, right?" Her voice trembled. "Maybe they would take me instead," Grace offered, sitting beside me. I could read my sister too easily. She was a little jealous, but also relieved that it had been her name chosen, and she felt guilty for it. "No," I said, hugging her. "It has to be me." And that is chapter 1. Honestly, this book is so short. I probably could try to read you guys like the whole book over like a short amount of time or something like that. Like maybe do like weekly installments. I don't know. I think that that's something that I would like to do with certain books. But yeah, let me know if you want to hear more. I can always do another part to this reading video where I read you guys chapter 2. But yeah, please let me know in the comments if I should do either like more installments for this book or maybe one of Hannah Sandvig's book. I think I've mentioned this beforehand in my other videos. I would like to maybe do like a reading where like each week or every 2 weeks or something I have a video that's like another chapter of a book and like keep doing that until the book is finished, you know what I mean? So yeah, that would be kind of cool to try. Let me know if you want me to try that, or let me know let me know if I should do that, basically. And then also another bit of housekeeping that I forgot to mention at the beginning is I have a poll out on the community posts tab. I'm gonna have a link to that if you're someone who doesn't really know how to reach posts on YouTube, but I'm gonna have a link to that so you can go and vote, because I have 2 great options for videos that I want to do. These are video ideas that I've had on my mind for quite a while. They've been in past votes, and obviously they did not win. Like a different option won. And yeah, so please help me decide between those 2 what I should do. Right now, the 2 options are talking about the series The Ranger's Apprentice, and it's like a big series. It's like a 12-book series along with other like side series, like spinoff series. It's a lot. And if you want to hear me talk about it, break down some summaries from it, some of my favorite things about it, including some tea that I happen to have on that series, let me know. Go and vote on that. And then the other option is the Wingfeather Saga by Andrew Peterson, and I have some tea on that one too, but it's not really tea. It's more about some beef that I have with that series. So if you want to hear that, go and vote. I know that I'm going to do both of those options at some point. I just want to know which one you guys want to see first, and I'll do it. So I think from now, whenever this video is getting posted, until... Actually, I'm going to post this tomorrow. So I'm filming on a Tuesday. I'm going to post this on a Wednesday, aka Wednesday the 24th, September. And I'm going to have that poll running probably until this Saturday, the 27th, I believe. So the 27th or the 28th, that Sunday, whatever, I will officially kind of end the poll, and whatever option it's at, I will do the video for that. So yeah, go and vote. You know, you have like 3-4 days to go and vote. So yeah, and I will also, like after Saturday or Sunday, I will post like, okay, here's the results. So yeah, go and do that. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Go and read this book. It's so good. I hope that you enjoyed it. And yeah, and I'll see you next time. Also, God bless. Love you. Mwah. Bye.